Hello there, welcome to Inquiring Minds. My name is Doug and I'm back with another fountain pen review. Finally, I get to show you the new Goldspot pen's exclusive model, the Magna Carta 650. I asked Tom Odo about reviewing this pen several weeks ago, and he said they were waiting for a slight update redesign of the body of the pen from Magna Carta, and he'd send one when he had stock. He's a man of his word because I received this gorgeous stacked acrylic 14 karat gold flex nib pen just a couple of weeks ago. I had some issues with the nib and Tom rushed another into my hands within 5 days. Now that's customer service. Let's take a look at this unique vintage looking flex nib fountain pen right now. I'll show the parts and features of this pen, show some size comparisons and measurements, and then provide a writing sample. And then I'll talk about what I like and what I don't like so much about this fountain pen. First, I want to show you the unboxing video I shot a couple of weeks ago, followed by a video of the issue I had with the nib. I'm right in the middle of a pen resurrection, so forgive the blue background, but this has just arrived at my door. It came very quickly. This is from Tom Odo of Goldspot Pens, and I've been waiting for this pen for a couple of months now. I wrote to Tom a couple of months ago and said, where's that Magna Carta 650 that I see Doodlebud doing a review for? And why haven't I got one? He said they were out of stock right now because they were making adjustments to it, and so this one is a slightly refined model, and we'll find out what that is as soon as we open it up. Knock the camera over. Oh ho, there's the Magna Carta box. I've knocked everything all over my desk. Let's straighten the camera. And we have Mag 650 Malachite, F Flex, one piece, US 450, Magna Carta pen and their website. Slide the cardboard sleeve off and open up the box. And we have a card from Magna Carta, 5-year warranty from date of purchase. And here is the pen. Forgive the banging. It's my condo association. I made a complaint that there was a loose board at my front entrance, and they sent a crew of people to build a barricade around my house so I can't get in or out. Liability reasons, you know.
A man has barricaded himself inside of his house. However, he is not armed and no one is paying any attention to him.
And so here is the pen. Magna Carta 650 in a green and black stacked resin, which is very reminiscent of some vintage pens. Let's open the pen up and see. And there is the 14 karat gold fine Magna Carta nib that's supposed to be flexi. And it is flexi, all right. Wow, that looks nice. The pen posts securely, becomes very long, but that cap is very light. So, and we have an ebonite feed. Hopefully that ebonite feed will keep up with the flexi flow of that beautiful 14 karat gold nib. So I got partway through reviewing this Magna Carta 650 from Goldspot Pens. This is an exclusive model. And the nib started blobbing and burping and spewing ink all over my page quite uncontrollably. I had eyedroppered it, and so I cleaned it out and put the converter back in. It was a little bit better, but still fairly uncontrollable. So I wrote to Tom and asked him whether anyone else had had issues with their limited edition Magna Carta 650. And he said that out of over 50 or so pens that we've sent already, one other person did report a leaking issue and sending back the pen for us to look at. He asked that I check to make sure that the nib and feed were firmly seated into the nib housing and that the nib unit was fully screwed into the section. I checked both of those things and it was still behaving that way. So he sent me another nib. And here it is now, just arrived. And so I'm going to give this a try. Let's open this up. And he responded immediately. So this is, it was Friday afternoon when I sent him the note, and here it is Monday afternoon, and I've got the package. So here's the new nib unit. Here's the old one. I'm going to send that one back to him. Nice little container for it. And there it is. And I did want to show you some of the blotching that I was getting while I was writing. There we go. Uncontrollable. So we'll put this one here and send that right back to Tom. And let's put this one in. There are no O-rings at all. Take the section out first. There we go. Make sure that's nice and tight. Put that in the section, and we'll fill this with ink and do another writing sample. I've been writing with the new nib for the last couple of weeks with no further issues. So let's take a look at the details of this pen. I don't have a Magna Carta 600 to compare this pen to, but from the photos, this is much sleeker and more refined in shape than the 600 model. With the stacked acrylic and the rounder shape, it really is reminiscent of the shape of a Parker Vacuumatic, but on a much larger scale. And here's my 1945 Parker Vacuumatic in Azure Blue Pearl, stacked celluloid. You can see that visually, they're very similar in feel, in style and feel. But the Magna Carta, of course, is much larger. So the Magna Carta 650 is certainly taking its design cues from this classic pen, and I love it. I don't have the previous iteration of the 650 either, but from watching Doodlebud's review of his 650, I can see at least one refinement Magna Carta has made. Doodlebud mentioned the square edge of the cap and suggested a chamfer here to keep the pen from chipping. Kieran must have listened to him because he's rounded that edge off nicely now, and it makes the step from the cap to the barrel a little smoother as well. Overall, this is a big pen. Here it is with my Leonardo Furore Grande and with my Edison Collier. Both big pens. And here it is with a Pilot Metropolitan. It's a big pen. And the stacked acrylic is very nice. This colorway is called Malachite. It's a deep, sparkly acrylic of alternating bands of black and emerald green. The flat top shows the sparkly black acrylic, which tapers up to a gold ring, which holds the gold clip in place. The ball style clip is a long tapering shape and is nicely springy and usable. The gold plating just seems a bit dull to me, like it isn't very thick or it's unevenly applied. When you look close at it, I don't know how close I can get here, there's a sort of a pitted quality to it, which makes me suspect the plating process. The cap tapers up to a single cap band that has Magna Carta stamped into it, and the end of the cap is nicely rounded and steps down to the barrel, which is straight to here, where it tapers away to a round end. The cap unscrews with 1 3/4 turns, which I think is another small change from the version Doodlebud reviewed, because he got about 2 turns out of his, to reveal a nicely shaped, long, stacked acrylic section with a nice flare towards the 14-karat gold Magna Carta flex nib and black ebonite feed. The section is very comfortable, and those cap threads are not sharp at all, giving you even more grip space. Let's look closer at this nib. There's a heart-shaped breather hole, another nod to the vintage look of this pen, and the Magna Carta logo. And on the side, it's engraved 14K 585 for the gold content. That engraving is another change from the previous iteration of this model 650. I noticed in the previous nib and this replacement that the gold isn't polished as smooth as one might expect. There are quite a few scuff marks and abrasions and micro scratches in it, like the gold nibs are tossed about in a bin or something before they're applied. I tried to buff them out with my jeweler's cloth, but it will need some buffing with a more abrasive polishing compound. The nib and feed are part of a nib assembly that unscrews for maintenance and replacement. The section unscrews to reveal the included Schmidt Standard International converter, which has a reinforced nipple. The pen will accept standard international cartridges, 1 in the section and 1 in the barrel as a spare. You can also eyedropper this pen. Just add a good amount of silicone grease to these threads right here to guard against any leakage. I eyedroppered the pen with the first nib installed, and there are no leaks at all. And the pen held a whopping 3.24 milliliters of ink. The inside of the cap shows a step milled into it to seal the nib from drying out. The cap posts not very deeply and not very securely, just a tap makes it come off. But unposted, the pen is nicely balanced in the hand and really feels wonderful. This is an extremely comfortable pen for me. The Magna Carta 650 is an exclusive model to Goldspot pens and is available in 4 different colorways: amber, cyanic, malachite, and black, and retails for around $450 US depending on the color. Now let's look at some size comparisons. And here is the Magna Carta 650 with a Leonardo Furore Grande in Smeraldo, a Leonardo Furore in Galaxy, a Platinum President, and a Fully Wen 017. Now let's look at them posted. And here they are posted. Only 2 of these are gold nibs. The 650 Magna Carta and the Platinum President are both gold nib, the President being an 18-karat gold nib. And the President is the best poster out of the lot of them. Of course, the smallest pen of the group as well. Now let's look at them unposted. And here they are unposted. These are all cartridge converters, except for the Furore Grande, which is a piston filler, and the Fully Wen and the Magna Carta can both be eyedroppered. Now let's look at some measurements, and I'll be back with a writing sample. And we're back with the writing portion of the review. This is Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper, and this is the Goldspot Pens exclusive model Magna Carta 650. And it has a 14-karat gold flex nib. In case you didn't notice, let's check the wetness. I'd say that this pen is wet, wouldn't you? Yeah, it's a gusher, and what you'd expect from a flexible nib. The nib has a good amount of feedback, toothiness, which you would again expect from a flex nib. It's a very fine-tipped, flexible nib that goes from very, very thin lines to very, very thick lines very, very quickly. And I'm writing very, very fast. And the ink today, now when I originally wrote with this pen, I put J. Herbin Emerald de Chevreuse in it, which I thought was a nice match. But I just got a brand new bottle of J. Herbin, well, let's write it out. It's J. Herbin, and it's a new ink, turquoise de Perse, P-E-R-S-E. I don't know how you pronounce that, but in translation it means Persian turquoise. And it's a lovely teal color with a gold shimmer. And as to line variation, well, that's what it's all about with this pen and nib. It is very, very flexible. In fact, this is probably the most wet noodle flex nib, modern flex nib I've used ever. And it compares to some very flexible gold nibs that I've restored in vintage pens. So the line this nib makes goes from about a 0.01 all the way to about a 1.1 millimeter line, which on my Richard Binder line width chart, that takes us from a XXX fine all the way to a triple broad. Well, you can't get much more line variation than that. And look how much ink that is using right there. So you might want to consider eyedropping this pen because you're going to be filling it a lot if you're writing like this. And for our quote. And for some reverse writing, yeah, you're not going to get any flex out of the reverse, and it's much, much drier, and it's actually running out. So with this nib, why would you do that anyway? You're getting a very, very fine nib with no pressure whatsoever. Look at that fine line. You give it a little bit more pressure as you go. Let's close up on that bounce. Look at that. And does the feed keep up? Well, if you really press it and you go fast, I wouldn't recommend doing that, but you might start railroading. But I'm not finding a lot of that. It's using up a lot of ink here. And the test here. Some quick writing. I'm having a difficult time actually writing with this nib fast. It's not designed to be fast, I don't think. And it hangs up. You have to have a bit of a low angle here to get the nib to flex. But it flexes under normal writing. I'll talk about that in a moment. So what do I like and what do I not like about this fountain pen? Fine copper plate handwriting and calligraphy take long hours of practice and dedication. Since no one can read cursive writing anymore, it makes the art of calligraphy a dying art, doesn't it? I'm not dedicated, nor do I have hours and hours of life left to practice. So this is my kind of flex nib, one that requires little effort to make your handwriting look all swoopy and fancy. Even if no one can read it, you'll impress people with your fancy scribbles. And it's great for creating a fancy signature. I'm not, as you should surmise, very good at flexible nib writing. I've been writing with this pen for a couple of weeks now, and I find it fun to play with, but I won't be using it for long writing sessions. The 14-karat gold nib is the best modern flex nib I've ever used. It's very similar in feel to a very flexible gold nib that I had on a 1925 Wall Eversharp that I restored a couple of years ago. That was a real wet noodle of a nib. And you can see that renovation by clicking right up here. Overall, the Magna Carta 650 is a well-made acrylic pen with a terrific vintage look stacked acrylic. It's a good sized pen which feels awesome in my hand. The gold plating on the clip could be better, as could the polishing of the gold nib. And a small groove to accommodate a silicone O-ring on the section nozzle would probably seal the pen as an eyedropper without having to use silicone grease. As to the price, you'll really need to appreciate the vintage style flexible nib to want to invest this much money in a fountain pen. I have to admire Hiran at Magna Carta for undertaking the very difficult task of creating a modern gold flexible nib. I think it's almost a lost art in the industry. As people began to use ballpoint pens and children began using ballpoints from the moment of learning to write, expressive flexible handwriting has become almost extinct. And manufacturers were no longer interested in making fountain pen nibs that were soft and flexible because the average writer has no idea how to write with one. The casual user would take a pen like this and destroy it in minutes just by pressing on it like a Bic crystal.
Sign, please.
Or they'd destroy it the first time they tapped the gold nib on the paper to get the ink flowing.
Can I borrow your pen for a sec?
My pen.
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me, could I borrow your pen for a sec?
Okay. Just don't run off.
You've all seen it. If you get one of these amazing fountain pens, be gentle with it, please. And above all, do not allow anyone to write with it. Ooh, what a cool looking pen. Can I try it? The answer is no. How about no?
How about no, you crazy Dutch bastard?
And there you have it. Thanks go out to Tom Odo of Goldspot Pens for providing this pen for review. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell to get instant notifications whenever a new video is posted. And you can join as a member of my channel for only 99 cents a month, and I guarantee I'll answer your comments in the comment section, and you'll get cool emojis, badges, sneak peek unboxing videos, as well as instant access to my videos the moment I post them. And that just leaves it for me to say, thank you for watching. And that's all she wrote.
I made this.